Welcome back to Reddit Tree. Today we are back with a question for you all, that is, people who ask for a pencil every single day in school. How is life going for you? Comment down below your answers, and here we have a lot of interesting answers, given by Redditors. First answer. So back in grade 3 by the middle of the year, every classmate in my class of around 28 of us was asking for a pencil every other day or 3 because they would randomly go missing. Fast forward a bit and our teacher was making us do the bi-monthly desk cleaning. As we empty out our desks of books and forgotten assignments, a nearby classmate sets their pencil case on top of their desk with a large thud. Some of us look and gaze upon a pencil case like no other. Now, this pencil case was your standard 6x 10-inch rectangle, but it was packed so full of pencils that it was a solid cylinder. We started making a scene and the teacher came over to see what was amiss. What followed was the emptying of the pencil case, in which the whole class rediscovered their pencils from the past few months. Second answer. I knew a guy in high school that would say, "Oh, there's my pencil," anytime he'd see a pencil that someone didn't actively have next to them. Then he'd put it in his pencil case and go on with his life. Very few people caught on because he was just so casual about it. I'd ask to borrow a pencil almost any time I saw him do it, and he'd just as casually take one out, hand it to me and say, "Don't forget to give it back." I never did. We both knew what the other was up to, but we found it funny to play along. We became best friends and cycled across Canada for charity together a few years ago. Third answer. One day grade 12 we were walking from the school to his house, and in a park we saw a broken telescope. I naturally picked it up and brought it back to his house where I left it. A week later it shows up on my doorstep with an envelope. He used some really fancy / old-timey language that basically said, "Please accept this humble gift." So we started exchanging it back and forth every so often, leaving a note. We even agreed in our letters never to talk about the telescope in front of each other. We also use pen names for it. One day he actually gave it to me all wrapped up for a celebration for me and said, "Please give this to." Everyone else was very confused and asked what was in it, but neither of us broke. It's been a while since we'd exchanged it. The problem is that because we leave it at the front door, it can be hours before it's discovered, so there's the worry that there might be thieves or something. It could just be that my friend is playing the long game. Since there's no way to ask, I just have to assume that he's still got it and is biding his time. Fourth answer. A few years back I was working doing shipping for an engraving company. I came across a name I really liked. I don't want to share it here, but it was 2 words, both started with M and were 3 syllables. The name just flowed so beautifully that I told my friend about it. A bit later I came across the town Bella Bella, which is an island in BC. One thing led to another and we decided to write poems about it. We had our old high school English teacher, a former art professor, and my friend's sister who was working on her MLIS at the time judge our poems. I ended up having a shot glass engraved with Bella Bella Best, and the loser bought the winner a shot. By that I mean, I bought my friend a drink. We're going into our 3rd year of this poetry competition. Last year was Zenobia. He won again. Still trying to figure out what noun to write our poems about this year. We're going to have to do it virtually this year, unfortunately. Also, to be clear, we don't write about the actual person / place, we just take the name and write about whatever we think of. We purposefully choose stuff we have no connection to. Fifth answer. I loved drawing and had one of those things with all kinds of pencils. It never turned into a cylinder, but I'd rent out pencils for 50 cents so I could get Shock Tarts or cookies during a bathroom break. I would barter with the Shock Tarts to get other stuff, turning 2 quarters into a bag of quarter-shaped things. Kids would give me $1 for half a bag of Shock Tarts. I let my money make money for me. This moment of reflection may be the most I've ever understood that saying. Seems like a totally different life. My cargo pocket was always jingling with all my quarters. I would have put money on my younger self to be successful. Damn. I just realized that I wish I was more like my 5th grade self, and this is pretty sad. Where did everything go wrong? Where are my quarters? Haha. Hey there you, yes you, please help me get 50 subscribers, subscribe now to get updated every day. Sixth answer. Really well. Now that I'm an adult in control of my environment and a budget, I can keep a small drawer on my desk that's dedicated to stationary utensils that work. I've also learned that supplies aren't expensive or hard to get, when I used to assume that people who were fully stocked had some sort of special access to things like teachers. Same for things from the pharmacy, like band-aids and batteries and eye drops. So now I'm the person with the odd thing you need when you don't know you need it. And it feels good, man. 7th answer. I asked for a pen/pencil very often. I grew up very poor and I could never ask my parents for something like pens or pencils. School was hard. I was kicked out freshman year for bad grades, sent to continuation, kicked out of continuation and then continued adult education. Life was tough. I now work for CA Department of Corrections, and I make plus 100K a year. My kids will always have what they need, and some extra for others. 8th answer. In my schools, the kids that did this were usually poor, dysfunctional/abusive homes, in a shelter, or part of the foster care system. They were also typically the ones asking others for their lunch scraps, a quarter, loose leaf paper. Many of them didn't graduate high school. I always think about those kids. I also sympathize with those that have emotional, mental, or learning disorders. ADHD, anxiety, and language delays are heavy in my family. I started buying all types of cute or character pen/pencils for my kids. As well as buying Ticonderoga pencils by the box and would place tons of them everywhere in the house and in their backpacks and lockers. 9th answer. I absolutely hated having to lend my pencils out and never get them back. I grew up poor so it wasn't easy to furnish those to begin with. Eventually, I would only buy 2 mechanical pencils at the beginning of the year and leave one at home and carry one in my backpack with me. That way when someone asked if they could borrow a pencil, I could say no and not feel guilty. 10th answer. I was the poor kid in the affluent part of the city. Not to say we were so poor my parents couldn't afford pencils, but I think when you're that kid, there are systematic processes in place where the school system sort of gives up on the poor kids to focus their efforts on kids who have more advantages. And when you are treated like you're a lost cause you're going to internalize that, which is what I did. 11th answer. I didn't give a shit about school. I was never prepared, rarely did my homework, hung out with mostly shitty people, and almost didn't graduate high school. I borrowed more than my fair share of pencils back then. I worked shitty dead-end jobs after I graduated, and never had much money. I think I was about 25 when I decided I didn't want to live like this until I died. Started surrounding myself with good people, went to community college, although scared I'd scrape by like I did in middle school and college, happened to have great teachers, found out studying works and just kept at it. Transferred to a 4-year university. Earned 2 bachelor degrees a few years later in semi-related fields. Took on a sales position at a software and services company after graduating and have been doing well there for a while. Now I'm enrolled in school again working on my MBA. Oh, and now I have a whole gaggle of pencils sitting right next to me.